this is what I have so far with the new Joker styrofoam drawing. It looks like I used a black Sharpie for this, but I actually used a dark green Sharpie. And this line was because originally I was going to do the Joker's hair shorter, because that's how I did it with the first Joker polystyrene drawing more than a year ago, but this one is kind of going to be based more on the most recent Joker, the most recent iteration of him, in which he's essentially a man with clown makeup on his face, more like. At least that's how his appearance goes. Yeah, I didn't make much time for myself for working on the new Joker styrofoam drawing, because I spent the first hours of today and so forth pretty much until 9 in the morning or so looking for the Nizar text-to-speech voice. I found out relatively early on that on today, like maybe within the first hour or so, that apparently it's a text-to-speech voice by the Pella Group Company. It was originally in Arabic text-to-speech voice, but was at some point made to be an Arabic/English bilingual text-to-speech voice, meaning you could type characters in both Arabic and English, and the speech synthesizer would be able to pronounce the words fine. It wouldn't sound off. I first tried the demo off of the Appella Group website, but it worked fine. It's just that the demo has this tune that plays along with the speech. Most likely is a form of DRM. Other text-to-speech voices seem to either be owned by multiple companies, or at least licensed out a lot. That wasn't the case for Nizar. I could only really find it associated with the Appella Group Company. Couldn't find it on any freestanding text-to-speech sites. Except for one later into the search, after Dad had gotten up and gone off to work, and I was drinking coffee, or something like that. It's currently 11:40 p.m. I woke my dad up around 11. He had fallen asleep on the couch, and now he's sleeping in his bedroom. I first did some light taps on his forehead and then said, Dad. It was when I said Dad that woke him up. Anyway, the next thing I did, I found this Appella Box website. But the tune was still there on its demo too. So then I recall downloading. I first found an extension for Appella TTS, but it's meant to be for Google Chrome, and I don't use Google Chrome. The browser I use is Microsoft Edge. And for some reason I didn't feel like installing another extension onto my browser, even if it would work on Microsoft Edge. I believe I also have Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox installed on my laptop. So if I had to use Google Chrome, I wouldn't mind it. But I primarily use Microsoft Edge for everything I do on my laptop, which is primarily playing games like Elvenar, Queen's Blade Limit Break, listening to YouTube videos while I play Queen's Blade Limit Break, / 1 in a trillion, play 1 in a trillion / Bloons Tower Defense 6 on my phone, / work on the latest Starfilm drawing. I needed to find the Nizar text-to-speech voice without that tune, because I use that text-to-speech voice and used it extensively for a character who appears quite a bit in the 99th Dan Hamming episode. Which I would like to finish soon. Since I've ultimately put so much work into it. And I don't know how much longer my current laptop will last before something goes wrong. I should probably create a backup of the Dan Hamming 99 video project files on Camtasia Studio 2019. At one point, I then found the Appella TTS text-to-speech app off of the Google Play Store, off of BlueStacks 5. But when I tried that one, it didn't have the tune, but I was able to find Nizar under the Arabic language, but when I typed in the English words of the first new line, I was going to have Kyle say, which is the name of that styrofoam prop character, the Uber driver, in the 99th Dan Hamming episode, which I've been working on and off, for over a year now. Maybe 2 years. The speech didn't quite synthesize the English text quite right. It sounded a little messed up. I was able to find that text-to-speech voice on my copy of Rapper Offline 1.3.0. I initially couldn't find it in previous attempts days ago under the English tab of text-to-speech voices. But then I got the idea, since I learned it was originally an Arabic text-to-speech voice, to check under the Arabic language tab, and I managed to find it there. But again, the line in this case, who is Smirks, in order to try to establish that new opening scene that I'm making for the 99th Dan Hamming episode. At one point, to make the sound more authentic, instead of typing UH, I started typing UGH, both times with the question mark at the end. Same for the who is Smirks part. Again, it wasn't synthesized properly. And so then next I looked into essentially isolating the noise from the vocal, recording over the Appella Group Nizar demo using streaming audio recorder, and then simply trying to find a third-party program to remove the tune. I make the Dan Hamming episodes non-commercially. And my commercial business is more making these polystyrene drawings, or at least that's what I would like to do. As a living, maybe I could learn how to code and get a remote job with flexible hours. Hopefully not have to put in too many hours of work a week. So I don't have to miss family events for work. Or worry about missing work if I stay up late and end up sleeping in the day, like I technically did today. I stayed up till about noon, fell asleep, and I think I woke up at around 5:30. As a result of that, I had the mac and cheese Dad's mom made for Dad and then gave to Dad, and then he gave me some of it. I believe that's what happened. I had that after microwaving it for 2 minutes, and around noon, it had some cauliflower and a piece of what it turns out was eggplant, according to my dad. The taste was fine, but it was just the texture that made eating that slice of eggplant difficult for me. Plus, it was warm after microwaving the whole thing for 2 minutes. I had to chew that piece of eggplant on the side of one of my, I think it was on the right side of my mouth, so that I didn't get too much of that texture in, so I wouldn't kind of gag. Or maybe more accurately, cringe from the texture. That's the same thing that happens when I have wet mushrooms. Dry mushrooms are fine for me, at least if they're the white and black variety you buy in a pack from Wegmans, though I haven't done that in years. I woke up at around 6 p.m. I had one of the poke salads that I brought over from Mom's place to Dad's place, along with some milk. That's why I called Dad. At around 6:30 p.m. and asked if he could buy some milk while he was at Aldi's. I was concerned at the time about drinking up all of the milk we had, which was a partially full quart at the time. Now the quart's finished, but we have a gallon now. That hasn't been opened yet. Anyway, I first tried to remove the tune using Audacity. But that didn't work. I tried using noise reduction, since apparently doing that you can remove the instrument, you can separate the instruments from the vocals in a song. I don't think it didn't work for that text-to-speech Appella demo. And I think because it's a speech synthesizer, I think. That's why I think it didn't work. The tune isn't really real music, it's just a tune. And it's not real human speech, it's a speech synthesizer, even though they've come a long way since their origins. I tried doing that on a more professional but still free service that uses AI to separate audio. First, the separation of the vocals from the instruments, and then the first attempt on that third-party website performed better than Audacity, and then a separation of the noise from the speech performed a little better still, but it still wasn't perfect. I contemplated installing NDVA, or wait, I think it's actually more NVDA, an acronym for Non-Visual Digital Assistant. I contemplated downloading that because someone had cracked about 29 Appella Group text-to-speech voices for that application. Although I felt iffy about installing something like NVDA just to use at this point one text-to-speech voice. And although Nizar was among the 29 voices that were cracked by this file, someone had cracked those voices and then put the crack in as a file. At one point, I accidentally downloaded, I think, a Trojan, but I managed to get that Trojan quarantined and then removed. Using the standard Microsoft Windows Defender. It's called Virus and Threat Protection, and it comes with, I believe it comes with any laptop with at least Windows 10 OS installed on it. So it comes standard. So I don't have to pay extra to have antivirus. Because at one point I came across a supposed Appella TTS demo app on a Weebly site. It seems sketchy to me. So I opened up Windows Virus and Threat Protection to be on the safe side. That turned out to be the right decision. I quarantined and removed that Trojan. Did a full scan of my PC that took 6 hours. So now my PC's fine. And this whole time, I'm making all these searches off of Microsoft Bing and on YouTube for videos on what to do. Then I finally found a YouTube video. For a crack for the Appella box application that makes you able to download the audio files without paying for credits. And I ended up not needing that. Because it turns out all I had to do to get rid of that demo tune was simply sign up for an account on Appella box. And I did so by saying that I have a business, the Tyler Foams business, which is a business I actually do have. I have a Facebook Marketplace page. I don't know if that completely counts as a company, but that's the information I put down in order to be honest. I mean, I understand that it's their speech synthesizer, but I'm not intending to use the speech synthesizer for how you would traditionally use it. Things like helping a mute person to speak. For people who have certain disabilities or impairments. The traditional services of a speech synthesizer are meant to create a more inclusive environment. But how I use speech synthesizers is so I don't have to try to make different voices with my own voice by talking through a microphone. Sure, it's not as good as real speech, since I prefer real speech to all the speech synthesizers. Yeah, but I don't really have a big enough budget to hire voice actors. Nor have I really thought about using actual voice actors for these Dan Hammond episodes. If I did that, it would fundamentally change at least one significant aspect of the Dan Hamming series. If I were to do that. By the way, I've been steadily changing the halfling settlement in a way so that it's more focused on producing Jolly Jelly, since that's the only thing I need left in order to be able to activate the last research technology of the Halflings chapter and be able to unlock 2 cool new ancient wonders to boot. Yeah, I believe that my use of the speech synthesizers is fair use, since I'm doing it for something that's non-commercial. The Dan Hamming episodes, even though I share them on YouTube, are kind of more for personal use. I would never have any intentions of infringing the copyright of Appella Group or that of any other company that owns speech synthesizers. If there was some kind of website where I could watch ads to pay for the use of speech synthesizers, I would do that. Or maybe some kind of licensing fee, which these text-to-speech sites do have, but it tends to be a pretty high price. One that at one point led me to think that it's only really appropriate if you're planning on using those text-to-speech voices for something commercial.